Time now for Voices of the Future, the show that amplifies the perspectives of the next generation of Republican leaders, young professionals, students, and policymakers who champion the values of limited government, free enterprise, and individual liberty. From grassroots activism to tech-driven policy debates, this program is your front row seat to the ideas shaping a freer, stronger America. Now, your host for Voices of the Future, Ardis Jackson.
Hello and welcome to the Young Conservative Voices, the show from the Silicon Valley Young Republicans. We're here to connect with Leo Zacky, who's a candidate for California governor. And today we're at a crossroads where we're facing all kinds of challenges. We have from public safety to rising cost of living. It's just really like a bad time right now, as me personally, to be living in California with all the challenges we're facing. And it feels like we have a governor who's tending to other important matters. So we need more candidates who are going to be for the people and represent California in a meaningful way. We have Leo Zacky here, and thank you again for joining me on my show. My show airs on Saturday. I just got started, and I'm excited to be doing this on behalf of the Silicon Valley Young Republicans. Why don't you go ahead and tell us a little bit about yourself?
Sure. I'm Leo Zacky. I'm 34. I'm a fourth-generation Californian. I'm the fourth-generation progeny of the Zacky family with the Zacky Farms. I was the vice president. I was a California Poultry Federation board member from the age of 18 to 28. Did that for a decade. Used to go to D.C. and Sacramento on behalf of the industry. Met with all our elected leaders, senators, senators and congressmen and state reps and the USDA and the USDA, EPA, FDA, all those guys. And I quickly learned that they're very stupid and they don't care about you or your business or your family. Yeah. And my family's amazing company. We were the largest privately owned employer in the state of California with 4,000 employees, largest organic turkey producer in the nation. We got just destroyed by California's poor business practices that were put on us by the government. So I'm fighting back with common sense solutions, and I'm here to help everybody. I have real plans to actually not only end all the key foundational issues that impact us, but turn a lot of those into net positive revenue generators, eliminating the need for incredibly high taxes and just improving the quality of life across the board. It's about policy, not party at this point, and that's what I'm here to focus on.
Okay, so I hear that you were there in the company's final years, fighting to keep it afloat during incredible tough times. Some opponents might try to attack that part of your story. I want to give you a chance to address that head on. What did you learn from that experience, and how was facing that kind of real world adversity prepared you to lead a state facing its own immense challenges, as you can say?
Sure. Well, I mean, if anybody who's been in business understands what an org chart actually looks like, I was the vice president. So I did have, definitely a say, and I had a lot of ability to do things inside the company when it came to, full-on executive decisions. Those were above me. I could definitely help influence them and come up with solutions, which I often did, but it's very hard to outpace the overbearing regulatory process that we were facing with that artificially priced us out of competition. And we were playing in a global marketplace, exporting poultry product to Hong Kong and to Mexico and Canada and all across the United States. I mean, we were responsible for 50% of the entire ground turkey business that Trader Joe's was doing, for example. So when we're hit with things like the increase of minimum wage by 50% in 2016, or the ethanol mandate put on us by Obama causing the price of corn to go up 450%, you have the mismanagement of resources here in California causing utilities to skyrocket, putting us at all these economic disadvantages. And as a vertically integrated company, meaning everything that we did, we could do in-house, we did here in California. So those impacts hurt us all throughout the operation. And things like the California Air Resources Board, all those regulations making it impossible for us to continue to operate our own fleet of trucks, forcing us to go to a leasing company, which was the economic solution to CARB. However, it was still more expensive than what the previous setting was when we didn't have those regulations. So by operating inside of California, we just were at a competitive disadvantage. So we lost our ability to be profitable, and unfortunately had to shut down after 90 years.
That's sad to hear. We are, of course, aware that there's quite a few businesses that actually are leaving the state of California, and going to other places like Texas and Florida, where they have a better economic advantage. It's a powerful perspective that you had. Your primary opponents, for example, have different backgrounds in government and law enforcement. Why is your experience as a job creator and a business operator exactly what California needs right now to engineer turnaround?
Sure. Well, I mean, California is the world's fifth largest economy because of agriculture exclusively. I mean, yes, Hollywood and Silicon Valley and big tech, they all play a role, but I mean, the vast wealth creator in California would happen to be agriculture. And so I've been in that from the large business perspective in manufacturing. I've also been in small businesses as well, like restaurants, with commercial real estate. I also happen to own a couple of companies that are valued over 100 million when it comes to environmental things, like we do plastic waste conversion into graphene. We make the machine that actually does that conversion. So very environmentally focused from my perspective. Also, protein replication is another thing that we're doing, helping to end world hunger and provide alternative sources for food that are totally normal. We just generate them in a different way. And so having dealt with those issues as a businessman and knowing the needs of the state and actually being from the state, unlike my competition, I mean, this is home. And so I really have developed detailed solutions on how we not only end this man-made drought, but turn it into a net revenue positive generator. I've very excellent solution for homelessness. I call homeless to home. I can go into elaborate detail on focusing on that. It's a mental health crisis and a drug epidemic exacerbated by a failed education system. So focusing on that, and instead of giving housing first, we focus on treating the root cause of the problem, which is providing mental health treatment and drug rehab, but also providing them the ability to learn a job skill where they would earn money, and that work that they provide will offset the expenses that it costs to take care of them, and it never puts them into debt. And then the money that they earn goes into an account they can't touch until they complete the program. So when they do, they have their mental health and drug habit under control. They have a job skill. They have money in the bank. They're eligible for government assisted housing. We've helped rebuild their self-esteem, and anybody who chooses to hire them coming out of the program would get a tax incentive for doing so. And some of the work they'll do will be basic construction, which helps with my water abundance project, where they'll help build the reservoirs, digging, giving them a shovel and having them dig, these massive reservoirs and pouring concrete that we can then use that water storage that we build, and also utilizing desalination and harnessing other water resources to create the abundance. We can then auction off portions of the Colorado River shed for profit by selling it to our neighbors like Mexico, Arizona, Nevada, Utah, Colorado, and then they'll do sanitation work where they can clean up our tourist traps like the wharf and Hollywood Boulevard, and also along our highways, and beautifying our cities and our home state and cleaning it up from an environmental perspective. Then doing agriculture work where we can utilize the crops that they'll raise to help offset the cost. So selling them for a premium as an organic feel-good product for table consumption, or even if it's for feedstock, that will still help mitigate those costs. And then also basic firefighting and underbrush forest management, where they help clean out the forests and mitigate the devastating wildfires, which will save us billions of dollars on the balance sheet elsewhere. So that's how we can use this. So the solutions I've developed, they're like anything in business. You have to, if you want to do something in a business, you have to find a way for it to offset its expense. And that's what I do as a businessman, and that's what we've done. Like I used to sell quite literally chicken litter, which is what, where the birds live and defecate. So, I've sold that, turkey paws. Who eats turkey feet? Well, apparently the Chinese do. So all sorts of things, you have to take things that don't make you money and find ways to turn them into revenue generators. I also have a solution for oil, drilling here, extracting it here, refining it here, will allow us to bring our gasoline prices way down. So we can arguably have possibly the cheapest gasoline in the nation. It'll generate revenue for the state from the extraction standpoint, creating over 100,000 jobs. So, and also utilizing, upgrading the infrastructure that we have in place for CAL FIRE. I'd like to use technology like remote drone stations that can fight fires. So when smoke is detected or fire is detected, they can take off and extinguish the flames quickly before they spread and create these devastating fires. And so then we can also have build out a modern and robust firefighting team here so that when we don't need to utilize our resources to fight our fires, we can send them elsewhere as a revenue generator, because when other states and places send us their equipment, it's not out of the kindness of their heart. There's a dollar figure attached to that. So we can turn CAL FIRE into a revenue generator as well. So these are some of the things I'd like to do. Also, in utilizing technology, having a brand new state website using AI like a Grok on there, where people can go on and say, "Hey, I want to start a business, or I want to build a pool, or an addition to my home, or get a license for that, or whatever." They can easily go on there, say that the AI gives them the forms they need to fill out. They can fill them out electronically, submit them electronically. If they have a mess up here and there, it tells them where they messed up. Then they can resubmit it, and then instantly be told that they've been approved, and that here's the date the inspector will come out and go through the rest of the process. So streamlining these things, giving people the ability to create their own wealth for themselves, and removing so many financial barriers to entry, creating an environment that is attractive for businesses here in California will not only stimulate the economy through job creation, but also the tax revenue that can come from that as well. And with the abundance of water and affordable power, by utilizing small modular nuclear power plants to help power desalination plants that we've been offered to build here, and approved to build rather, we can have cheap water and cheap power, so we can grow an abundance of food. We don't have to have our farmers relying on pesticides and herbicides like glyphosate. We can actually lead the way in producing high quality, organic, affordable produce for everybody, which is another great thing, brings cost of food down. And having that cheap power too attracts businesses, because that's another big barrier right there. Cheap water, cheap power, need that, which will bring in businesses. So, there's a lot of things. So we also have to have education, right? If you want to have businesses here, they need to have a workforce and a talent pool that they can draw on. And our education system here is so in shambles, but we have to emphasize things like trade skills, so home economics and shop class, real civics, so people know how government's actually supposed to work and not this jumbled mess that we're dealing with. I want to create a vocational UC school for people to go to, or we can give scholarships for, so we can have that talent pool that would make businesses want to come here. And also school choice to help emphasize that, because competition breeds excellence. So having the money follow the students will then force all these other schools to up their game if they want to stay competitive and get the funding that they need from parents. So empowering parents as well. And when you have a strong economy, you don't have people needing to turn to crime. When you have an educated populace that can be employed, they don't then also need to turn to crime. So a strong economy is the best way to fight crime and mitigate it as much as possible. So I really spent a lot of time going into detail figuring out how to do this. And it's about policy, not party, because the issues in this state impact everyone regardless of party affiliation. Mm-hmm. And I can tell you how we do it. So that's kind of it in a nutshell.
Well, that sounds like a really good vision you have. It sounds like you're pretty ambitious as well, and we need more ambitious people here in the state of California. I know me personally and my wife, and we just welcomed a son of our own. And
congratulations!
Thank you. And we're struggling with all the rising in food products for our child, and it is something that's worrisome, the rent and everything here in the Bay Area and throughout the state. So it is something that we are paying close attention to, and we do need candidates who will be ambitious
Absolutely.
about these some of
My
these
friends,
programs.
my friends are in the same boat. They're getting married and having kids, but they can't afford a home and they don't want to send their kids to school here. I completely understand that. And it breaks my heart because then my hockey team, falls apart. I've lost goalies and defensemen and wing partners, and they move to other states because it's not a place that's viable for that kind of lifestyle. And I want people to be able to raise a family here and have that, especially our generation. They feel like they don't have that opportunity. And it's very hard to get gainful employment here. And the fact that everything is so expensive. I mean, to earn $100,000 and live in Los Angeles, you're probably sharing an apartment with two other roommates, and then you go out on the town and you're spending $9 on a beer. There's nothing left at the end of the day to save for.
Exactly. Well, that definitely hits the nail on the head. I think for a lot of voters are paying attention to this. Before we let you go, I did have a few questions from some of our members at SVYR. We have a question from Zach. He said, "How would you take California elections back? What sets you apart from other candidates?" Basically.
Sure. Well, I mean, I'm going to need to have a good Secretary of State to help accomplish that. But I 100% want to have single, day voting, paper ballots. We have to first we have to archive and purge our existing voter rolls and have everybody re-register to vote. And I believe that we should have people register to vote for every new election cycle. I mean, we have an elections department, put them to work. But we also have to work with the federal government because of Eric, where they can, basically there's no way to check if someone's a citizen when they're registering to vote. We need to have a system in place where people who can have a means to prove they are citizens to vote and to be eligible to be registered to vote as well. And so there are ways we can develop. A friend of mine ran for Secretary of State in Nevada, and Jim Marchant, and he's found a company in Texas that produces currency for other countries, and they've been able to develop a paper ballot with over 26 different security measures built in: specific paper, clay embedded into the fibers, watermarks, holograms, all this stuff. So there are ways where we can actually do this.
Okay. Well, that sounds pretty good too, because I think that's a lot of fear that some people have, is the whole illegal immigration has been kind of making it very scary for people who feel like maybe their votes are not fully mattering. And I will say my last question would be from our member Sarah. You somewhat answered this already, but she basically wanted to know, like, how would you bring back high tech manufacturing back to the state of California? How would California be at the forefront of defensive technology?
Yeah, well, I mean, we used to be, this great state that produced so much with avionics and even with auto manufacturing as well. I mean, we have to have, as we move towards AI and all this stuff, if we're going to have the ability these centers take a lot of power, we have to have the supply to do that. So like I mentioned, small modular nuclear reactors are going to be a big part, as well as the hydroelectric plans that I have when we capture the snowpack at the high altitudes. So, and then also, like I said, you have to have a talent pool to draw on. So education is going to be at the forefront of that, making sure that kids are getting real education and the skills for a modern day society. And so emphasizing that in the public system, and like I mentioned, the UC vocational school I'd like to develop.
That's awesome. We're getting a little short on time, but I do want to, before I let you go, let voters know, or people who may be getting to know you as a candidate, I do want to let them know where they can go to find out more information about you. They can go to leozacky.com. That's correct?
Yes, sir.
And they can read all about you and what your plans are and who you are, and introduce yourself to voters. And then I would also just say that for us, we have our own little website up as well. I host a show Saturdays called Young Conservative Voices, trying to reach the youth here in the Bay Area, make more Republicans, or energize the young Republican voters here in the Bay Area. So it is something that we think is something that needs more attention. But I would say that for those who want to follow more of what we're doing, they can go to SVYR.GOP. The site just got launched. And again, before we go, is there any closing remarks you wanted to say on your behalf.
Sure. I mean, look, the system is broken and we have the opportunity to fix it. I'm an outsider and I understand that. It's because I'm a regular person just like you. I've got a unique background and a unique set of skills. I have the time, the energy, and the means to run this campaign and focus my attention on taking care of the state because this is bigger than me and this is about everybody else. I'm not here to make a career out of politics. I don't need this job. California needs me to have this job. I know there's other candidates out there running. Unfortunately, if I felt that they were the right person, I wouldn't be doing this. And so I know how corrupt government is. You cannot corrupt me. There is no dollar amount that you can put on me to sway me from doing the right thing on behalf of everybody. I'm looking forward to building real relationships in Sacramento. No more, you're a Democrat, you're an idiot, you're a Republican, you're a racist stuff. Building real relationships and building the concept that we are all on the same team, and that's Team California. And so I'm ready for this. Let's bring youth into our government. No more boomers dictating to us how things are going to go and ruining it for the rest of us. The future is here. The future is now. And I'd like to be that for all of you.
Well, thank you so much for taking the time to speak with me. I'm in it for the fight for the young vote as well and to speak to our youth. And hopefully we can rally behind you as a candidate and get someone different into the governorship.
Yeah, don't be desperate, California. Just because you saw a shiny object on TV doesn't mean they're the right person. Do your research. It's your responsibility. This is a constitutional republic, meaning it's a representative government. So it is up to you to get involved and do your research and your homework on who those candidates are. Please follow me on Instagram and X and all that at Leo S. Zacky. Go to leozacky.com to learn more. I'm here for you. I'm always open to suggestions. And I'm always looking for good people to work with because we're all in this together.
Well, again, thank you so much for taking the time to do this interview with me. And again, best of luck for your campaign. And I hope nothing but the best. And thank you for taking the courage to run for California governor.
Thanks again for having me. I appreciate it.
No problem.
You've been listening to Voices of the Future with Ardis Jackson, a presentation of the Silicon Valley Young Republicans. For comments and suggestions or to get involved, email svyr.gop@gmail.com. That's svyr.gop@gmail.com.